Let me put my tweet out real quick before I forget about that. Oops. Usually I have it ready to go, but there we go. Okay, that is done. Before we get started, just a few things that I want to mention. Currently, the residential renovation is ongoing. I think you got a couple more days before that moves on until next month. So take advantage of it. I think it's the sim stuff. I don't remember what exactly all that entails. I suspect it's the sim NPCs and all of that, but I'm sure it's other things as well. Also, there is maintenance today as usual. From what I saw on the Twitter post, it was set to be almost 5 hours. So again, if you're watching this live, I encourage you to go get your playtime in before the game goes down for an extended period later today. So, because we send all of these videos to, or these streams to YouTube later, so you can watch at your leisure. You won't miss anything necessarily. And last but not least, there is a housing competition going on. It is a player-run housing competition. It's not one run by Carbine themselves, although it is kind of sort of tied to that. Mayoline, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, Mayolina or Mayoline, something like that, has said that there was some discussion in the past that Carbine had kind of hinted that they might consider setting up a Macari or a Mordesh player housing option based on some suggestions from actual builders that could use the current in-game, available decor pieces. That if they liked it well enough, I guess that they would maybe use that as a baseline for their version of it or something along those lines. So May has decided to put a competition together. It's going to be a two-parter kind of thing. The first part is they're asking entrants to come up with a Macari style house. Now, we're not talking fully furnished or anything like that. We're talking just the basic structure and the empty interior. Now you can add like things like if you're wanting to have a certain decoration on the walls, like pedestals or beam kind of supports and stuff like that. That's allowed, but I think they're wanting people to keep it basically unfurnished. It's pretend like you're building a prefab house without, as if someone's going to, use that on their plot and it comes as is, just kind of empty. So you're going to be styling the inside and the outside. As well, I think part of the suggestion is to leave like the default lighting and ground up because that's what everybody starts out with. So they want it to be, not hidden or otherwise manipulated to make it kind of an even playing field for all the entries. I saw some discussion in the thread that they posted about this, that there was some confusion about that part, but if you really want to check out all the details, it is post by Mailline in the housing subforum of the official forums. They go through the prizes, which includes Protobooks and Plat. You'll have until September 20th to submit your entry, and then winners will be announced on September 30th. But there's a lot of details that and rules that you'll want to go over, kind of outline all the specifics about what they're looking for, things you need to take into consideration, and how you submit your entry in the thread and all of that. It is open to EU and NA, so that's a plus for those that are only on one or the other side instead of floating back and forth like some of us. This is an equal opportunity kind of thing. Again, the theme is coming up with a prefab house version for Macari. Like I said, this is the part one of this contest. The second one, they will be asking you to design a Mordesh version of a prefab home. So if you have ideas for either or both, think about submitting your entry. The plan is I'm hoping that we'll be able to tour some of the entries or all of them if I can squeeze it in, depending on time frame and everything. And how many entries there are. I don't know how long it'll take us to get through all of them, depending on variables that I don't have control over, but that's the intention. I've already asked May to pass along a list of all the entries so that I can check them out and see what we can do about lining up some, if not all of them, as part of a tour kind of thing. Now that won't come until after all of the entries have been submitted, so at least a month till that time. But it'll be a fun thing, I think, to see what people's concepts of what they expect a Macari home to look like, the colorings, the different styles and stuff between that, and then later on, again with this part two of this for the Mordesh. So it should be fun to kind of see what people come up with. So I'm hoping that since we mention it here, it will encourage a few more to participate. So yeah, I just wanted to give a heads up about that and encourage you to put your thinking caps on and see if you can whip something up for us to gawk at later. Okay, we are still on NA. I know I said I wanted to alternate every week, but I don't know. I keep finding a lot of nice places on NA, and like I said, it's not that there aren't any other places to look at on Jabbit EU. It's just that we have spent so many months, years touring those places. I'm finding the pickings a lot more plentiful on NA that we haven't seen, and I really want to kind of spread the love in that respect by visiting some of the ones at NA a little bit more right now. As well, I know it takes a long time for us to get through a lot of places, especially with my schedule being as reduced as it is and the amount of time I'm able to offer up to it. So it worries me that some of these places may not exist by the time I get around to them, because I know there's a lot of builders that just wipe the slate clean. In fact, especially when competitions like the one we just discussed come out, they go, oh, and they just clear out whatever they happen to have and start fresh to participate. Because not, even if we have alts galore, there's just limited space eventually. And a lot of people are not exactly forced, but they tend to have to clear off and start fresh. And I don't want people to miss some of these amazing builds. So yeah, Entity again, this is called Bastion Bay by Django Cuts, I think is the name. As you can see, this is the entry where you pop in. They've got like some chua pillars and some of the decorations from the exotic decor pack. I think this part here is the back of the couch, and then they've got the dividers making it look like a fancy door that you come in. And then of course this whole little platform thing. I don't know what they're using here. I suspect it's the bottom of one of those landing pads or something, but I'm really not sure, because again, it's tricky to find items that will cover or be placed where you want it on the platform, because the items usually have to be considered hollow on the interior, and through experimentation and trial and error, most of us have discovered there are certain items that will work that way, like the I think it's the gray stone. The one, it behaves as hollow, even though the sandstone version doesn't. It's considered solid, so you can't use it. Things like the upside down Snowy Hill, There's some hover part pieces that work this way that allow you to place them atop. There's a lot of light posts, I think. Um, there's probably some trees and stuff that have a hollow interior as well that could probably work. Anyway, I don't know what exactly is being used right there, but the rest of it is like the Draken floors and the granite walls or the other type of stone with, I think, Draken uh, pillars. Now, I think these are also granite walls to line the edges, and I suspect it's just either two staircases layered in really close together to get this all nice, or they've just actually physically laid out the individual planks themselves. Either way, it looks really nice and slick. Now, from the entrance, you will see that this is a pretty crazy looking, I don't know, cliffside, oceanside kind of village type of thing going on. Not quite like a booty bay because this doesn't look like, you know, pirate kind of style. It just looks like almost like a resort kind of thing. I know there's some beach party stuff on the little dunes out here. So yeah, I think it's like a cliffside village kind of thing. I didn't spot any like fisherman stuff, but it's not to say that that couldn't be part of it. I think I got some cracker crumbs on my mouse pad. I keep feeling something crumbly. It's disgusting. Okay, so let's just go ahead and get through in here. Now, there is a couple of ways to get to the center part where the bunker house is located. You can actually go all the way around across the bridge and then down this part and walk your way over, or I think you can do the rock jump. Now I'm going to go ahead and skip over to the bunker house because it's actually more or less empty, but I do want to show that it is there. Oh, I just fell down into the water. So we'll get that over with and then we can enjoy the exterior to its fullest. But I wanted to point out the clever use of the holograph, portable holograph thing. Yeah, I think it's holograph. It's a little round one. A lot of people like to use it for like engines on their ships because it makes it look like it's powered. Some use it as decontamination things where you place it in a doorway and people have to walk through it. And it kind of looks like that. Others use it kind of like an elevator or a teleport kind of thing, just a faux version. And that's kind of what this one has done. It's a landing pad. I think it's either the Dominion version or Ichthian version. And then they've centered that holograph thing right over top. And if you get just so, it'll allow you to open the door to down below. And notice they have another one here, right in the spot where it will port you out. So it works out nicely. But you can see it's relatively empty. It just looks like a storage space. But I like how it's placed right about where the door thing shows up for you and puts you right back out. So it looks like it's a functional thing when it really isn't. It's just a trick of placement and cleverness. Okay, so let's get back to the front again. ATW and Bones, I'm glad you guys could join us. And anyone else that happens to be lurking around. Now the work bridges, obviously it's actually several bridges pieced together to make the long bridge. There are a couple of other rope bridge items, I think brucas or something, but it wouldn't stretch and I don't think it would work. It's got, it actually has like the end pieces, so it would look a little weird if you put them all together, I think. Plus, it's not easy to get a hold of. But this works really good. If you don't want to go with the traditional rope bridge, just building up a different kind would work as well. We've seen many different types. But notice they've got the pillars again acting as the braces on the end. Some use actual fence posts or light posts. They also work well as these little beams on the either end. Some use the gates. Those also work nicely for it. Now, most of the landscaping, I think, is the sandstone for like this whole cliffside here where the waterfalls are. And then they've thrown in some other ones just to kind of offset it a little bit, I think. I like how it's not overly done with the mossy bits. I think the more mossy bits and trees and stuff, it starts to turn a little jungly. This looks more kind of like, not necessarily desert, because obviously there's lots of water around, but it just doesn't look overly done. I like just the little hints of the mossy overgrowths and stuff. Now, as we go through, you'll see most of the buildings are kind of similar in style. We've discussed that in the past before when it comes to towns or villages. I think it's just a preference of the builder. Sometimes it's easier, or it makes it look a little more uniform or closely tied together when the village houses or huts or whatever all kind of seem similar. You can see the roofing is basically the same for most of them. They just changed the wall textures and the window arrangements and things like that. It lends itself to a unity of it, but then there's the individualism with the different settings for the windows and such. Others will actually just kind of mishmash a lot of different types of roofings. I like both ways. I like the uniformity to keeping a certain style. It's almost the same as like when you build the interior of a home and you're adding your chairs and your couches and things. Keeping them kind of similar room to room helps tie the whole interior design together. Or maybe you want to do certain themes for each room. But in each room, everything's kind of matchy-matchy like that. I like that kind of approach, but I also like the other one where there's like multiple styles of house with different types of roofs and different types of arrangements of how they're put together and everything, because those places are like a smorgasbord for those looking for inspiration in the styles, the possibilities of what they use for the roofs, or what they use for the walls, or how they work the windows and the doors and everything. It's just both are great. And this is an example of where it's kind of a mishmash of both. The roofing is more or less the same for all of them, as you'll see, but the walls and stuff are different. The roofs are basically the wood dividers. Now, I forget which one this one is, because there's a lighter version, there's this version, and then there's the metal version. And they've chosen the darker wood, which works really good. It's got that little bit of almost like a slight flare to it. And it just works really good. It's got the little peak here, and it looks nice. So this little shop, I guess, is what it is. Again, it's on a cliffside thing, so there's a lot of supports and locations to, make it seem more realistic instead of it's just the house kind of floating out on the edge there. They've got the supports. This one is mostly staircase landings for the floor, the walls, and the roof or ceiling, with 2x4 accents for the countertop and everything. I like how they're able to sneak in the Winterfest things amongst all this other stuff and not have it look totally out of place. Again, notice how they keep the stairs very similar. Now, this is an example of a faux house. Again, there's debate on folks preferring to keep those out of their builds and others using them to help uh, play to the idea that there's more to the plot than you're actually given access to. So like here we have a nice door. It's a combination of 2x4s, the metal divider, a hammer, 2x4s here. This part here for the, it's not quite perfectly aligned with the roof, but it kind of blocks most of the gap there. A lot of us have trouble filling that in. Some people will use like the triangle pieces to try and make that a little sharper and nice. This is using some of the hover part pieces. Foreign walls for this particular build of the house. Decking railing for this part, staircase landings. Then you get some boardwalk pieces here, and then some more little faux buildings. Again, the roofs are still pretty much the same. This one matches the wall texture of this one, but then they changed it for this one and the one on the side. You're using exile walls for this. That's what this wood is part of. It's the end piece. And then here they're just using staircase landings again. Again, throwing little personality ticks into it by changing the windows. It helps add variety, but still with the roofs matching, it's you wonder how buildings work with it supposedly being carved into the stone there. How that matches up, the layout of the rooms and stuff. Or if it's basically one big house and it's just got different looks to it, I have no idea. The waterfalls, of course, are the newer versions. Look lovely. Again, if you have a plot that already has water features that includes waterfalls, the old style, if you were to switch it to the new ones, you'd probably have to do some renovation as far as the placements of a lot of the stones, because the waterfall, where they're split and how they're placed, will probably vary greatly from the former ones. But if you can incorporate the newer ones in straight from the get-go, you can get some really lovely results. And this looks awesome. It comes with that animation and the smoky effects and everything. Now, again, if you don't have the bits or the real money to afford the newer versions of these waterfalls, which are available in the cash shop, there are ways that you can fake it in with other items that are more readily available. We've talked about how folks will use the older version of the waterfalls and then add in different effect items that either have a misty type of animation, like the buoyant blue crystal, some of the glowy movement kind of things, such as the bottom side of the medical cot, the hovering medical cot. It's just a variety of different items that you can use in interesting ways to get similar effects. It's not going to look as realistic as this, obviously. There's going to be some quirks in it, but it's a viable substitute if you can't afford the actual fancy looking waterfalls. Moving on to the next little section of the town or village, or however you want to call it. This looks more like the eateries. So you've got, I don't know, this is kind of an eatery spot, and this is like a plant shop, looks like. Again, the building uses the same roof as before, but they've opened it up and changed it with make it look more like an open market kind of thing. If you're wondering about the string lights here, those are from the LOP decor pack. It's the one that comes with the Kurg and a couple of LOP NPCs and I think it's a haystack and some boxes and jugs and stuff. It's a nice pack. Over here, we've got, I guess it looks like some food shops. You got like some general wares here and then the meat place. I like how they've got the corpses strung up like ready for butchering. It's pretty gross. The corpses when they first brought those out, but we found a lot of fun, good uses for them. A lot of people like to put them in like labs. Some, including myself, have actually used them as fake animal NPCs around the things. You just have to be kind of sneaky about how you cover up their wounds and stuff. But like the Pumera, looks like a thieving cat almost, because you only see like a couple of scratches and stuff on it, and it, like the least damaged corpse. But there you go. Over here we have a little bit of a pool. Now again, I think this is another one of those waterfalls. You just don't see all of the dripping goodness of the waterfall itself. You just see part of it to make this little pool. Again, just staircase landings for most of it. A few stones, nicely placed NPCs, that kind of thing. If you're wondering about all of these like little lily pads and stuff, that's part of the waterfall decor pack that comes with that. And if you see any of like the little dragonfly or flitterfly bugs zipping around, that's also part of that pack. It's again, a lot of the decor packs offer up a pretty good chunk of items for the price. So a lot of them are really worth what they ask for. You get quite a few items. Okay, here's another building. Again, I believe they're using the same roofing, but they just changed how the building itself is put together. This is mostly 2x4s, framed glass, some of those exotic decor scrolls, wall scroll, and then of course the Draken pillars to kind of really jazz it up on the front here. So it appears to be the library. Again, we've talked about how people use these bookcases. Some will leave them just out, but most of us think it looks neater and more organized looking, or I don't know, slicker or something, when you kind of cover up the bookcases and just leave the books visible. We've seen some where they use like archways to make it a little fancier, or they use different materials. Most of us, I think, resort to the 2x4s. I think it's because it matches the wood color of the bookcase itself. But now with the color shifting, you might can get away with using something different. I don't really know. And then a nice little balcony overlook for the falls here. And it's nice. I like how they took time to like add these little transitions into the layering of the floor. Just gives it a little bit of extra. I mean, they could have made it perfectly flat and lined this up a little differently, but they chose to bring in this little indent here. I think that's a nice touch. The little flower pot kind of thing here. I think it's a combination of the portable planter, which has the dirt in it, but also it's been trimmed with, I think it's the metal bowls, this kind of like an orange colored bowl. You can kind of see the color right there, but it's two of them just to make it look a little fancier looking. And then I love this bridge, how they put this together. Look at the scaffolding underneath. Just lots of pillars for all of this support. It's nicely done. Again, we've seen a variety of different bridges. Some will have like archways up top, or some other kind of railing or such. Some do like the crisscross. It almost looks like an old rail, like um, like an old Western film, spaghetti Western, where they got the train going across the canyon and you got that like crisscross stuff going. That's kind of another method to go with it. Yeah, could you hear Homer? I haven't checked it this morning. I probably should have since they had that event going on, but keep forgetting. Anyway, yes, if you don't know what I'm talking about Simpsons tapped out. Yeah, a railway bridge. That's kind of what I'm talking about. I've seen some try to do that, but I think it's more complicated with all of the crisscrossing that goes on. This, I think, is uh, an elegant way of doing it. I like how it matches up here by them using the same materials. And it looks good and sturdy. It doesn't, I mean, some might have just left it with this and not put all that bracketry underneath, but I think this is, again, it's one of those nice little extra touches. Maybe not necessary, but it's a welcome added detail. Again, some of these, it's not overly crowded with a lot of things. They've kept it nice and open. It'd be great for a guild to come and hang out, visit all the shops, chit chat, have a bite. So again, another version of the building. This roof is basically the same. They've just changed the makeup of the walls and such. You can see they're using staircases for these like lattice type window setups, framed glass for all this fancy like metal working on the windows, pillars, lots of those Draken pillars, 2x4s, both the plain and the metal edged ones. Come on, open. There we go. So this is like a little diner. Red Moon stuff. This would be the hanging lamp. It also comes with, it's a decor pack. Again, I think it's from the cash shop. It includes like that rotating bar with the drinks on it and the bar stools and a lot of those fancy screens and stuff with the weird writing and stuff on it. This one though, they've come up with their own decorations. Now they're just using the regular Chua stools, but I like this countertop here. I think it's the bases of the tables, I think. Could be wrong, but I think that's what that is. Not really sure. If not, I have no idea what it is. Excuse me, I'm starting to lose my voice already. But the little blinky light, the neon, I think that's part of one of the neon signs, the star beer one. Again, staircase landings, 2x4s, some colored unframed glass probably for this little bit of pinkish shading. I like the little wine rack up above. Again, just 2x4s crisscross to make that little lattice type of holder. We've seen that in a lot of different like taverns and inns and things. Technophage circuitry, I think, were part of that. Really cozy little bar kind of thing. Got a little balcony as well. I could see this being turned into like a home, like a two-level house. Make this the kitchen and a living room kind of dining area. They chose just to make it a public facility instead. But that's what I mean by you could be inspired by this building structure and how they put it together and the layout of it and turn it into something else. You're wondering about this little topper here. I think this is one of those landing pads. I don't know if it's the Dominion or Ichthian version. And then they've got, I think this is a Protostar lamp deal. And then the very tip top part is an upside down exotic table. Just maybe it was an extra item and they decided, oh, I'll use it as a chimney topper or control tower thingy on top there. And then you have this little lounge part. Here's that rotating bit from the Red Moon decor. But I love the circular couches here. Really looks plush and fancy. And basically all it is staircase landings and the pink pillows. How great is that? It looks like it just comes, you know, it would be so interesting and fun if we could like put something together like this and then like create a single item from it and be able to give it to other people. I mean, I know you can kind of do that now. You can send them the code to recreate this, but to have it actually become an actual item, that would be kind of fun. There's so many nifty things people have figured out how to put together. And of course, the window patterns, that's just the glass. It's been cleverly smushed together. And here, again, when you have that glass, the more you layer it, the more white it or frosted it becomes. So you have multiples overlaid here, but some of them are unframed to give an interesting, colorful pattern here. But that's why the color here is more vibrant than here, because this is like a single layer of color, and this has got the two joined to make that darker patch. People just find fun ways of using that. This part here, this kind of acting as the rug, I think that's the Technophage platform, kind of a disc shaped kind of item. But yeah, I love this pouch thing. And you know, if pink's not your color, the color shift will allow you to change that up, so it doesn't have to be all girly looking if that kind of thing bothers you. Okay, back down. Oops. So here on this side, we have some more of those little faux homes, similar to the ones that we had over here on the cliff. But these are out on the stilts again, or the supports. Again, staircase landings, the hover part pieces, and then varied wall bits instead of the Oran walls, it's Oran floors on this one. This one here is using just more staircase landings, I think. staircase signage. It looks like an extended part of this almost. Exile walls for this one. But it's one way of, kind of populating a little city or town with lots of buildings without forcing you to have to make each and every one that you can go inside. Let's see, I wanted to mention something. Where did I see that? I think it was over here. Before I forget. I like the use of the little potted plants here. Can't hardly see all of it, but it's the ones, it's like a tray, and they've used it as like a little decoration for that. I like that little touch. Just had to mention that. Again, I like that they've thrown in little plants and trees and flowers and stuff, but not overly done. It's just like a little city, Clearly, all of the vegetation stuff has been moved out, but they've uh, snuck it in like a regular town would. You see the main street or something, and then there's like the uh, center median or something where they've actually replanted some trees. They probably plowed them all down just to make room for the town, but then they've replanted, and it just looks a little bit different. Here, they've actually added a little sign here. It's a combination of the Dominion bench and the Charming bar to make this little D shape. Now, I don't know what the D stands for, if it means for diner or dinner, or stands for somebody's initial. Um, the plot owner's name is Django or Django, so maybe it stands for that person, their little bar or whatever. I have no idea. But again, they're using the same roofing, more or less, and lots of windows, unframed as well. So you get this little weird kind of frosted diamonds here. And then pillars again. So again, some of the places look kind of matchy-matchy, but again, the layout is different for each one. It looks like the Domino's pizza, maybe. Because here's their version of pizza. It basically looks like, I don't know what they're using for the platter. It could be one of the Oren windows pushed down in there. But then the cheese wedges for the slices, and then it looks like the Bandit Dynamite for the pepperoni. Now, there's other things you can use for the pepperoni slices. Some have used the tops of the red stools, but I think most kind of assume that looks more like a tomato slice. Rather than a pepperoni slice. But there's also the red dynamite firework. That also works really well. And then with the color shifting, you could probably get away with using other items that maybe have a better shape or texture, and just recolor it to a red, and that might work. I don't know if there's like a straight up red or if it's more kind of a pink. So you have to do some experimenting on that. But we've seen a lot of variety of pizzas. I've done a few myself. I think people have used the actual shrooms and then just kind of squished them in there and kind of twist them a little to make it look like mushrooms on the pizza. Green pillows kind of squished in there and just the edges showing is for like the bell peppers. I can't remember some of the others, but Dominion Pizza, not Domino's. Yeah, that's probably better. But yeah, there's a lot of ways you can go with the pizza. Okay, the cabinetry here, again, mostly staircase landings. In fact, it's like one big one here, and then there's two little ones to make the cabinet doors there. Hammers for the handles. The kitchen sink, a reminder that comes from the Boxing Gym Fab Kit. You have to complete it, and then you have a chance at winning it as a prize. I don't think it's a guaranteed item for that, completing it. I don't think, I could be wrong. I've never actually completed it myself. I can only like get up to competitor 4 or something. If you can make it up to the 4th challenger, though, you do get a chance at a kitchen towel, and it'll be like a 50-50. You'll either get the lop one with the carrot and little bunny on it, or you'll get the striped version, depending on the whim of the challenge. This here, I don't know if this is supposed to be like the stovetop or what, or cutting board area. That's the back of one of those portraits, I think. Kind of what it looks like. I'm not really sure, but I think that's either that or it's the bottom of a couch or something. It's one of those metal backings. You hear some meowing. Butter apparently is begging for some attention, and Biscuit's ignoring her, and she's mewling, wanting some attention. Exile walls here, some of that exotic decor for the little flary decorations here. I think this is like the part of the couch. These are some of the tables on either end here. Again, you can easily transform this into a different type of setup. You can see how the barrier ends. That's how some people, when they raise the elevation quite a bit, they can make it look like there's no barrier at all because they go up high enough. You still can't walk past it, but the honeycomb part disappears. Again, if you're worried about this, that's waterfall. They've just oversized it and made it look like the water is pushing in. Yeah, they've been really, since our heat wave passed, they've really come alive. And of course, my husband got them another catnip toy, so they've been kind of buzzing on that thing as well. Well, we kind of keep them closed off downstairs. I guess we're kind of rude in that way. We open up the house during the day, but at night we block them off into just the living room, kitchen area. But so we don't get disturbed by them. My husband's been tempted to let them come in, but Butter scares me. She's kind of creepy. Like if I'm sitting on the couch, she'll come up behind me, on along the back of the couch, and then she'll just sit quietly and then smack, like she's thinking you might taste good. I think I might scratch you or something, and she does that no blink stare. Freaks me out. So I don't think I'd really like waking up with her like at my pillow or facing me directly and waking up to that. I think I'd probably freak. So here's a little kind of like a, I don't know what you call that, a mesa pedestal kind of bit of stone. And on the tippy top, they've got these little homes. Some of them are faux, and this one here is an actual shop you can go inside. But again, they've kept to the theme of using the same roofs, and they've just adjusted some of this with the windows and the makeup of the walls. But like this part is just staircase signs. They really use those quite a bit in this particular build. So it shows, it's a cheap, easy to get item, but they've, managed to use it in so many places, in the cabinetry, in the walls, in the supports for the houses underneath. Again, I like that, you know, a builder showing the versatility of a single item and the many ways that you can use it. Just like the flooring here, it's that stone, but it's basically a bunch of granite walls been patchworked together to make this little platform. And then the same walls are being used for this little raised pool kind of thing. And I believe this is just layered glass. And then they've added one of the older waterfalls here to kind of make it look like a little fountain in the middle. Adding the moving plants kind of gives the illusion that the water is moving as well, even though it actually isn't. And notice how they've used some of the colored glass. I think it's some green and blue. So in here we have, looks to be the clothing shop. Got a little display here. Again, I think it's that landing pad thing matched with the charming bars. Here you just have some cylinders, two different versions for it. It looks almost like a hat, the way they put it together. Which brings to mind that hat shop that we visited last week, I think it was. The little window changing display here, that's just mirrors, I should say. It's windows behaving as mirrors with the staircase landings booked in. And then there's a little door, faux door back here. It's just one of the flat metal tables with a hammer for the handle there. Again, just how adorbs is this? I mean, I think this is such a cute little way of doing the buildings. Another little kind of a mesa stone pillar kind of deal. The base of this is a dome. I think this is that dais or whatever that comes from the Porine stuff, I think. Staircase landings. Like the little offerings here. You can see the pillar here a little bit better. I like how it's like big, but in the middle it's skinny, as if it's gonna like tip over with all this weight. You'd think that wouldn't be safe. And again, notice like the railing here, they don't have it actually joined together, but just enough where, you know, it helps. It's not a perfect match of the shape, but they make it work. Now this one, the roof is a little different. It's not the double roof as most of the other structures have. It's like a half. And basically, again, staircase landings to cap it off, but they still have the hover part piece in the top there. And I believe this is supposed to be like an ice cream shop, little dessert place. So they've got the bowls in hollow domes, it looks like. And then the backs of those portraits, the portraits I'm talking about is like, I think it's the Luminari one or something, or Legionnaire or something. I don't remember. There's like several portraits and they all have this weird, strange metal backing. But it's a dome, a hollow dome with a bowl, one of the metal bowls inset, and then inside that is different fillings to represent different flavors. So you get the pink pillow, the green pillow. I have no idea what those are. It looks like stones of some sort, but I wouldn't know which ones. The different kinds of crystal formations. This again looks like more stones. I like the little spoon holder. It's just a hollow cylinder with the spoons in it. a nice way of being able to use that Winterfest gate. Again, sneaking in those, specific season related things in a generalized area is always fun. The cabinetry here is the metal containers, I think there's what they're called. And then the little flip lids are flat metal tables with double hammers for the handles on those. Pretty straightforward in the concept and the you and your puns. Then we come to the little beach area. Again, if you're looking for a lot of this, the string lights are from the Lop Decor pack, and then like the umbrella and the beach towels and the beach balls and the coolers and the Barbie and everything, that's all from the summer decor pack. There's actually 3 different versions depending on the towel and ball types that you go for. Like this is I call it the candy stripe because it's multicolored. Then there's this one that's just the blue stripes, and then there's another one, it's more yellow with like green seaweed on it. The rest is all the same, I think, but it's just the difference in the types of decoration for the towels and stuff. Here we have a cute little bar eatery type of deal. It's decking pieces, 2x4s, staircase landings, bar, and then more 2x4s there. This little bit here, that's a magnetized container, I think. And again, Winterfest string lights. You don't have to always use the red lantern type version. Get away with using that somewhere else. The summer decor pack also comes with those drinks with the little piece of fruit. Looks like a cocktail drink. Over here they have a little volleyball thing set up. Now, a lot of people go for like more like a netting type of thing. I've seen some use the Osun graded flooring thing. Some have used. I've seen at least one use the hanging chains, multiples of those to make a net. There's probably some other ones, but this is the first time I've seen someone use unframed glass, which I thought was kind of unusual, different, and a fun approach, and easily accessible. It's not like you have to gain reputation with the Arctera area just to unlock the Osun one, although it is pretty low. I think you only have to be friendly with the faction to get it. So then a couple pillars, and there you go. There you have a little net. And then that leads us to where we started out in the beginning, which is where the little ships and their storage is. Again, staircase landings for most of this, granite walls, some of the trim. The pillars here, simple bridge. It's not as fancy as that one over there. Where is that? Over there, but still doable. You know, for like a fishing dock or something, that would work. So yeah, pretty versatile style build. I could see people doing a lot of different things with this, making it like a full-on resort with, like, you know, the dance hall and maybe, you know, like a motel kind of setup, or like treating these like little cabanas or something, or even like a village and then like turning like the the library and stuff into an actual home, like a big mansion kind of thing. I could see someone giving the uh, interiors or exteriors a little different flair and making it look like an Asian type of thing, turning this big one into like a dojo or something, and having like these be some of the little temples where they do their little uh, tea ceremonies and stuff. It could be turned into a more native village kind of thing, or a fishing village. We've seen a few of those where people come up with some interesting fishing type of deals. You know, you could have some boats or little ships or rafts or something out in the water. Um, Fishermen lined up around here with their buckets of chum, luring the fishies out. But yeah, I really like this build because I could see how someone could say, I like the way this is done, but I want to do it just slightly different. But using this as not necessarily a template, but again, an inspiration as to how they want to kind of a similar layout, or the concept of like the stilts and everything, or the supports that they have here. I just think this is really nicely done, and a variety of how they, you know, some are built, you know, carved into the stone, and others are just kind of hanging out on the ledges here, and others are actually built solidly on the foundations of the stone itself. Now, I didn't see where there was any way for me to like, I don't know if there's like any cave areas or anything down in here. I'll take a quick look before we close up. But I could see someone putting in some kind of a cave, or a place for like maybe some pirate treasure, or a little sneaky hideout for the kids. Mm-hmm. And we've seen some where they've actually put plants down in the water. We've got a lot of like shells and uh, kelpy looking stuff. That's a little too steep for me to jump up to. Even that is. Let me go over here. Now, I don't know what the doors here are to represent, like big giant drains or something. I have no idea. But there's like, well, I just kind of just slipped right off of there. I don't see. Oops. And I don't think there's anything like hidden in these areas, but I'm looking a little closer just to make sure we didn't miss anything. But regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed the tour, and again, feel inspired by it. You know, even if it's just you take some thoughts like from the bridge to apply it to some build that you're doing, or the roofing technique, using the dividers. I think that's a really great use of that item, myself anyway. No, I don't see any little Excuse me, my voice is trying to go again. Any like little hidden nooks or crannies, but somebody that's into that kind of thing, having little hidey holes and secret passages and stuff, this would be a great plot to work that into, I think, or a similar layout. Excuse me. I haven't had any coughing fits and stuff, but I still get really scratchy throat, apparently. So yeah, I think that's all for today, guys. I know it's kind of a short run, but clearly I'm gonna need it. Otherwise, I'm gonna lose my voice completely. But I hope you enjoyed it. Again, I hope you find some inspiration and in these uh, plots that we visit, even if the theme isn't necessarily your thing. You know, hopefully you get some ideas that you can, you know, cheese up or manipulate in your own way to make it something more your style. Again, this is probably a really great build for someone that's maybe not necessarily full on for the landscaping. You've got a lot of open area that kind of leaves it where you don't have to worry about it too much. They've cleverly left that open. I mean, you can even see where the edges of the plot are located, but using those oversized stones and stuff really helps uh, make it look different and unique. But yeah, so that's it for today, guys. Again, this was Bastion Bay by Django Cuts, and I don't know how things will be next week. I don't foresee any problems, but just keep an eye on Twitter. I will try to tweet out if I end up having to cancel, but hopefully that will not be the case. But again, reminder, a couple more days of the residential renovation, and be sure and check out Magelin's housing competition. For those of you that are looking for a new challenge, I think this one will be a pretty fun one to get into. I don't know if I will be participating. I was actually asked to judge, but I kind of had to politely turn them down because my time and scheduling and free availability is so sketchy these days. I can't confidently commit to something like that because if I was going to do it, I would really, you know, go headlong into it full on. And I just don't think that I can offer up my time that well. So unfortunately, I won't be on that end. But like I said, once the winners and stuff have been announced, we will take a dive into checking out some of those places up close to see what the participants come up with. So I'm looking forward to that. Again, it'll probably be about a month before that gets to where we are, but looking forward to it. In the meantime, good luck with whatever you happen to be working on. And hope to see you guys next time. Till then, have a great day. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.